One room, 2 days of testimony, and one man who decided he had answered enough questions. On February 26, 2026, forensic investigator Paul O'Sullivan walked out of Parliament's ad hoc committee, mid-session, mid-questioning, with his bags packed and a flight to catch. I want you to hold that image in your head. A man who voluntarily agreed to come back and finish his testimony. A man sitting at that table while the evidence leader had just a few questions left. And then, he stood up, packed his laptop, and walked. That moment alone would have been enough to fill a video, but what happened before the walkout is the story you actually need to hear. Stay with me, because this one has layers. If this is the kind of investigation you want more of, hit subscribe. We are not going to stop digging. Background. What is this committee? Let me give you the context first. Parliament's ad hoc committee was established to probe allegations of corruption, criminal infiltration, and political interference within South Africa's criminal justice system. The inquiry was triggered largely by allegations made by SAPS KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Commissioner Lieutenant General Nalanla Mkhwanazi. Paul O'Sullivan had already testified once, on February 10th. He returned on February 26 to conclude his evidence. According to multiple reports, the session started, in the chairperson's own words, as a very good start. But what O'Sullivan put on the record in that hearing goes deep. In his affidavit and testimony, he alleged that efforts were made to stop him from exposing corruption, reaching as far as Jacob Zuma's circle, the then ministers of police and intelligence, senior SAPS figures, and the NDPP. He alleged that by 2016 or 2017, he had been arrested unlawfully several times. And then came a meeting that, if true, reveals how far certain structures were allegedly willing to go.
Minister of Police, the then Minister of Intelligence, I think his name was at that time David Mshlobo, we knew about all of this because after the attacks on me started, by 2016 or 2017, I'd been arrested unlawfully several times, and this led to a so-called off-the-record meeting between my legal team and people representing Jacob Zuma and David Mshlobo and the Commissioner of Police, which was Phahlane, General Phahlane, and the head of DPCI, which was at the time General Mkhwanazi. And what they had done, there was an involvement by the NDPP as well, through a prosecutor, a deputy director by the name of Malochwa, JJ Malochwa. And what they wanted me to do was to surrender my South African citizenship, and they would take me in a blue light convoy to OR Tambo Airport, announced to the media that I was leaving the country and that I apologized for being a spy, which of course was absolute rubbish, and I wasn't prepared to go along with it. But that meeting took place, and that meeting made it very clear that there was overreach from Parliament into the criminal justice system, and that's what I was meaning to say there in this.
According to O'Sullivan's sworn testimony, he refused. That meeting, he said, made clear there was overreach from the political level into the criminal justice system. That context matters, because it explains what kind of history this man was carrying into that committee room on February 26. Before O'Sullivan appeared in person, he had given an interview to ENCA. In that interview, referring to the demand that he testify in person, O'Sullivan reportedly called certain committee members crooks, and he added an Irish phrase, Pog mo thoin, which translates roughly to kiss my backside. That interview clip was played in the committee chamber. Watch what happened next.
Can we have it played?
We're being done virtually, and that's it. So those crooks in Parliament that wanted me to get there in person, in Irish we say pop my horn, and I'm not going to translate that, but I'm not going there. I'm not.
Was that it? Am I to respond to that, Chairman? Okay.
There is something that was said in a language, through you, Chair. There is something that was said which was not clear in what language it was. Can it be
Irish.
unpacked for us?
It's Irish.
Yeah.
Irlanda.
Can he actually interpret that for us?
Pugmahon, it's a bit like you have to use an analogy because it's not a direct translation. But the Honourable Malema would be able to understand this analogy. It's like saying kill the Boer. Now, does that mean that everybody must go out and shoot? Or what does it mean? And we've seen what the defense was to kill the Boer, that it's a song and that it goes on, however wrong it may be. Pugmahon is also an analogy.
O'Sullivan's response to the demands for an apology is worth listening to carefully. He said, and this framing matters, it's not something that requires an apology. However, in the interest of peace, I withdraw the comment and I apologize most humbly. That is a conditional apology. He was not saying he was wrong. He was saying he was choosing not to fight about it. EFF leader Julius Malema accepted the apology but added a condition. O'Sullivan had to go back to ENCA and publicly retract it on the same platform. O'Sullivan's response, if I can, I will. That is not a firm commitment. IFP MP Minkwango then pushed further, asking O'Sullivan to also withdraw the crooks label specifically. O'Sullivan stood his ground on that one. According to reporting from Times Live, he maintained that he knew for a fact there were crooks in Parliament. He was challenged to name them. The session pressed on. Let me put some numbers and context on the table because that is what gives this story its real weight. This committee is not investigating a single official. The scope touches on allegations linked to senior SAPS figures, crime intelligence operations in KwaZulu-Natal, and claimed political interference in prosecutorial decisions spanning multiple administrations. O'Sullivan, as a forensic investigator, has spent years building cases against individuals connected to those structures. During this testimony, he also alleged that certain political parties in South Africa were formed through syndicate activity, a claim directed, according to the Citizen's reporting, at specific parties seated in that very room. The MPs he called crooks are the same MPs with authority to summon witnesses, take sworn testimony, and make recommendations to Parliament and law enforcement. That is the charge in that room. And the exchanges did not stay calm. The crooks comment was not the only explosive element of the day. O'Sullivan revisited his position on Lieutenant General Nalanla Mkhwanazi's press conference from July 2025, the one where Mkhwanazi appeared in Special Task Force tactical gear. O'Sullivan told the committee that the briefing was, in his words, not only dishonest, it was divisive, and it was intended to distract attention from what has been going on in the police in KZN. He called it a red herring. IFP MP Ian Cameron noted that Mkhwanazi had been authorized to use that equipment. O'Sullivan doubled down. It is important to state clearly, these are O'Sullivan's allegations and opinions. No court has found Mkhwanazi to have acted improperly regarding that press conference. Mkhwanazi has reportedly already taken legal action against O'Sullivan over previous comments on this same subject. But the spy accusations added another layer entirely. MK Party MP Skosana repeatedly challenged O'Sullivan on his background, his UK military intelligence past, his multiple passports, his nationality. The atmosphere the session was described by multiple outlets as explosive. Here is a sample of how that confrontation ran.
I was listening to our witness lecturing us how to run this country, that overseas, this is what they are doing. Some of us, Mr. O'Sullivan, we don't have dual citizenship. We are South Africans. Our DNA, which runs in our blood and vein, we are not Europeans. We are not settlers in this country. And it's unacceptable for you to lecture us about how things should be run in this country. You've been doing this for many years, unabated, unprovoked. And I'm not even sure whether, because your journalists, which you say there's good journalists, they give you news. I guess we are talking about your Marian, who's the Marian Tham, Karen Morgan, Passon, the Stratcom journalists who are misleading you. But let's start here, Mr. O'Sullivan. Are you the same Paul O'Sullivan who was born on February 17, 1953? or you were born in August 1955?
Chairman, I was born on the 26th of August 1955.
Thank you. Now,
Sorry, let me finish.
no, I'm fine. Remember,
but
you are responding on me.
What I cannot accept is a 30-second question or 10-second question preceded by a 5-minute lecture where you defame me. I have never, ever lectured. I was asked a question and I answered the question. That's not a lecture.
No, you were
And I think
lecturing us.
we really need to keep our decorum here.
That was not a one-off moment. According to reporting from IOL and Times Live, O'Sullivan was accused of being a foreign spy multiple times during this session. He eventually told the committee that if he was called a spy one more time, he would stop answering questions. He was challenged to name names and to justify every aspect of his career going back 50 years. The session pressed on. The evidence leader, Advocate Bongiwe Mkhize, was still working through her questions, and then O'Sullivan checked the clock. According to multiple outlets, EWN, IOL, The Citizen, and Times Live, O'Sullivan had told the committee he needed to leave by 1 in the afternoon to catch his return flight to Johannesburg. Advocate Mkhize was wrapping up. She reportedly had just a few questions left. Then O'Sullivan stood up, began packing his laptop and documents, and started walking toward the exit. Julius Malema immediately intervened. EFF leader Malema told O'Sullivan he could not leave without being dismissed by the chairperson. MK Party MP Skosana escalated further, saying O'Sullivan must be arrested. O'Sullivan kept walking. His response was a single sentence.
I have reached a point now, Chairman, where I have to go.
No, Chair, he's not going to leave. He's not going to leave. She's going to ask her questions. He's not going to leave. If he leaves here, he's walking out. He's not going to leave until you release him. He's walking out of Parliament.
Yes. Oh. Chair, he cannot be allowed. He's doing the same thing with Patoy. You can't leave here. We are appearing before us.
Unfortunately, I made it
We don't
clear.
care about your flight.
Thank you.
You're not being released here. You must be arrested. We'll open a case now.
Pardon?
We'll open a case now. This man must not be allowed to go out of this country.
I did not come here on a summons. I came here of my own free will, and I'm leaving of
He passed the MPs and left the room. Chairperson Soviet Lekanyane, speaking after the incident, acknowledged the tension but said he had not observed committee members physically blocking O'Sullivan's path. He confirmed the committee's legal team would advise on next steps. EFF MP Lee Ann Mathis told the media that O'Sullivan's actions amounted to contempt of Parliament. She called for immediate consequences. When he lands in Joburg, he must be arrested. The immediate consequence was that O'Sullivan's testimony ended without Advocate Mkhize completing her questions. The MPs left in the room were left processing what had just happened. The reaction inside that chamber was not quiet.
No, Chair, I think that there is no sense of agency from the legal team. Because if they were embarrassed by what happened, they wouldn't say the things they're saying up to us now. That should have embarrassed them. And they should have known immediately when the guy was threatening that he's going to walk out. They should have known that now the matter is going to come to them. For a quick advice, if you are not going to act on that guy, we'll rather close this committee now because we are going to be subjected to that humiliation. We are going to be subjected to that humiliation where Honorable Skosana has to stand up. He doesn't know what to do because he was being disrespected and no one is coming to our rescue. Whether we must manhandle him or what.
He was going out.
No, he blocked him here. He had to physically block him but without touching him because he will be accused of manhandling
That's
him.
why I say he was going out.
Yes.
They happened to find themselves
At the passage.
on each other's way. But
Yes.
But Honorable Skosana, I can certainly say I saw him even when he rose up here that his intention was to go out.
You know, that frustration should have made everybody to be on their feet that, okay, when this happens, what do we do? When this happens, what do we do? We appear sheepish. we appear toothless, and we want to continue business as usual. Paul O'Sullivan should have received an application in the High Court without papers, where we go to the court and say, yeah, he's a fugitive, he's got a potential to run. He left Parliament without the permission of Parliament, and he's got so many passports, and he's got a private jet. He sits here and brags about a fraudulent pilot license, and then when it suits him, the pilot license no longer works. He has been bragging that he's got a private jet here. Then everybody must shift now because the flight is leaving.
According to reports, former Acting National Commissioner Khomotso Phahlane was scheduled to testify next. The committee adjourned briefly and then continued. On the legal question of contempt of Parliament, the chairperson confirmed that Parliamentary Legal Services would provide guidance. No formal arrest order was issued before O'Sullivan's flight departed. His position, based on available reporting, is that he appeared of his own free will and would leave the same way. Whether Parliament's legal team agrees with that interpretation is still to be determined. What is on the record is this: the man who voluntarily returned to complete his testimony left before it was complete, and the committee that let him come and go voluntarily is now weighing how to respond. Let me leave you with 3 questions. First, if Paul O'Sullivan appeared voluntarily and had the right to leave voluntarily, what does that say about the actual legal authority this committee holds over witnesses? Second, the allegations O'Sullivan has made about crime syndicates, political interference, and police leadership in KZN have been building for years. If his full testimony never gets formally concluded, who benefits from that gap in the record? Third, we have now seen 2 high-profile witnesses, Batohi and O'Sullivan, walk out of separate parliamentary inquiries. Is this the beginning of a pattern? And what does it tell us about how much these witnesses trust the process? Drop your answers in the comments. Tell me which question worries you most. Like this video, subscribe, share it with someone who needs to see this. We are not going to stop digging.